Hi everyone, it's Becky here. So it's another beautiful morning on August the 14th, which was a Thursday. So today we're heading to one of the famous landmarks in Montreal, which is the St. Joseph's Oratory. So this St. Joseph's Oratory of Mount Royal is actually a Roman Catholic basilica, and so it's not a cathedral. So I'm just having fun getting these medium and smaller shapes sketched out, and then Mount Royal supporting the basilica right behind. So this plaza in front of the oratory here is very spacious. It's super quiet right now in the early morning around 7. Oh, here I spot a squirrel munching on something in front of me on another bench. Now I'm drawing the smaller details of the basilica, like the doors, the windows, really enjoying the whole process, putting all the details together, adding a little human walking up. There are actually 8 levels in this basilica, so there's quite a bit of walking work, but there are elevators and escalators inside. Now I'm painting the beautiful, gorgeous morning sky, starting with a tint of yellow, and then shade the clouds with blue violet kind of gray, painting the pockets of blue sky in between, and then starting to paint the illuminated foliage on Mount Royal, starting with very bright yellow, and then bright yellow green, medium green, and then the dark shade of green. Now, the sun just showed up right behind and above Mount Royal, and it's really, really bright. Yeah, and the dome of the basilica has a really beautiful turquoise green color, being really bold and brave to shade the foliage. So right now the foliage is in a backlighting condition. The sun is behind them, so these trees are mostly very dark greens. And here's the look of my finished sketch. It took me about 1 hour and a half sitting on the bench here, capturing this uplifting morning atmosphere. So this project will be taught in my September's Sunday intermediate class live on Zoom. So this is a view of the skyline of Montreal, somewhere I think on the 5th level of the basilica. Inside, there's like a grand hall with lots of candles for us to donate first and then light. So I'm lighting a candle for world peace. So this basilica was constructed in 1931, and before that it was a little chapel right down Mount Royal. Right now it's a huge basilica attached to Mount Royal. And in this hallway, there's an exhibition of some artifacts and a gift shop of lovely souvenirs. And yeah, it's always fun going through souvenir shops. And the magnets and the stickers are my favorites. I'm getting the sticker for the cover of my pocket-sized sketchbook. So this mural is showing the helpers when the basilica's foundation was laid out. And in the afternoon, after lunch and a nap, here I am in my neighborhood outside Cafe Chatau. And I love the way that this cafe always has lots of kittens. So this is just a super relaxing sketching session, sketching my cup of iced latte and a raspberry Danish. So for my everyday sketching habit, I always like to combine sketching outdoor sceneries and food and drinks. So these two separate matters, they come together to make up the context of my life. And here I put a sticker about earlier today on the cover of this pocket-sized sketchbook. Aw, and that kitten is super adorable, being petted by these two girls. And there's some little kids petting this kitten here. This one looks so much like Dudu when he was a baby. Yeah, the fur texture feels soft, exactly the same as Dudu's. The fur pattern is so similar too, same as the masquerade mask. This one is the most like Dudu. And all of a sudden is Friday again. And these days in August have been really productive here in Montreal. I'm waking up around 5 or 6 in the morning and go out to sketch before it gets too hot. Come back for lunch and take like a 2 hour or even sometimes a 3 hour nap. Make sure I'm fully refreshed and not overworking myself. And we just took the metro from Lonegru to Bonaventure's metro station. And there are just so many churches and cathedrals in Montreal to see. This one is the famous Mary Queen of the World, right in the middle of downtown Montreal. And I sketched this cathedral before, like 3 years ago, when I lived here for 6 months. Now, today, I'm going to sketch it from a different angle, sitting at this park. So using pencil, I got those big essential shapes into the right places. And now I'm using my fountain pen to draw these lines more precisely. And the smaller details, I do them with my fine liner pen instead of pencil. And there are 13 figures here standing on top of the roof here. I'm just summarizing the look of their postures instead of spending too much time. For another style, the artist could spend 10 hours drawing this, but I just spent about 40 minutes drawing this cathedral. Now, painting the early morning atmosphere again, the sun is rising behind the cathedral, and I just love the turquoise green color of these domes. And again, I was very lucky today. After I finished the line drawing, the sun was rising behind this area of the building. And then its trajectory was behind the large dome. So the large dome helped me to cover up the sun for 30 minutes while I was painting this. And the sun appeared on the right side of the large dome right after I finished painting it, as you can see here. Yeah. And this is the interior of Mary, Queen of the World Cathedral, and I sketched this 3 years ago when I lived in Montreal. So if you've been following me for at least 3 years, you probably remember my sketch of the interior of this cathedral. And now it's like 9 in the morning. I'm pretty hungry, so I just went to this bakery cafe to grab a blueberry Danish and a cup of latte for breakfast. And you can only find this bakery cafe in Montreal only. So our next stop is the Botanical Garden of Montreal, which is a little bit far out from the central part of the city. And it's a pretty big garden that takes at least maybe 3 hours to walk through. And remember the catalpa tree that I sketched from the patio of a heritage cafe back in Vancouver? And I found another one in Montreal. And walnut trees are also having very elegant branches. Here I'm outside the Japanese garden. So these ceramic vessels are inspired by nature. Many different types of flowers like cherry blossoms and also ocean waves, koi fish, and bamboo. Yeah, of course. I also love bamboo. And this is also a type of Japanese art created with sand. There are a lot of lotus flowers and water lilies outside the Japanese garden. And Claude Monet used to have these in his garden, and he painted lots of them. This kind of lily pad is very odd. I've never seen these before. And now I'm walking into the Chinese garden. And yeah, this garden, it brings back a lot of childhood memories. So as I was born in China, and we traveled a lot when I was a little kid, and we visited a lot of places like this in China when I was little. And I would say the Chinese garden is truly a highlight of Montreal's Botanical Garden. Now we're grabbing lunch from the garden's restaurant and then coming back to do some sketches. Now I'm drawing this Chinese style chateau surrounded by lots of lush greens. Yeah, and just a quick tip on composition. When you're sketching a building or any other single items, it doesn't have to be in the very middle of your page. It could be a little towards the left or a little towards the right instead of the middle. And yeah, as I mentioned before in my previous vlog video, I'm really enjoying using this pocket-sized Moleskine sketchbook because you can get something done way faster. And it's easier to simplify all the details on a smaller format. And another tip on painting lush greens is that if you want to make sure your trees and bushes having a higher sense of volume, you do have to be bold about using those extremely dark green shades for heavier weight and higher contrast. Yeah, just like this. Yeah, so here's my first little sketch, completed in about 40 minutes. So as you can see, most visitors visiting this garden are very concentrated in this Chinese garden. Now, my second sketch is the summer house, yeah, with these very pointy roof edges. And then, yeah, lots of beautiful lush greens, including the old willow trees. Drawing people to suggest a sense of proportion. And this is the stone bridge. That is very common in ancient China. And then doodling these rocks on both sides of the bridge, some bushes on the bank, and some foreground rocks looking visually bigger. And when you're sketching nature, don't be afraid about making these rapid and organic lines. Now I'm painting, yeah, the blue sky behind the foliage and different shade of blue and green of the pond water. And green is a very healthy color for our eyes and for our spirit. And that's why spending time in nature would, make us feel better. Okay, so that's a light shade of green. Let it dry, I'll shade it later. The different shades of browns for the rocks and the soil. And punching on these bold marks of shades of green, especially on the lower part of these foliage, getting less sunlight. Using blue violet to suggest ripples, choppy brush marks for the texture of willow trees. And yeah, that's another like 40-minute sketch. So I'll see you in the next video soon, everyone. Take care. Bye.